because of the coaches, but just for the sake of the Netherlands, it's really, really vital that the coaches knows exactly in which match they have to pick the two players to play, because yeah, as you say, Mike, it's a great point. There's 3 players who have a lot of achievements behind them, and they're all very young still as well. So they will expect to play. So it's just about finding that right balance.
How many matches do you think they will get to figure out the best partnership before they stick with the duo continuing the competition? If they're to get to the knockouts, of course.
I think it's really hard to answer. I think they're definitely going to rotate if they think they're not working. I think they're going to. We already saw that they lost to Canada and they switched on Lady. So I think they're going to be very, very quick to respond to the actual circumstances, and I think that will be the case throughout the entire competition for them.
I think there's a massive debate to be had here because it depends on the nation. I think some nations have got 2 players that they are locked in. Yes, they've got a third. Yes, they've got a sub, and it's more of an acknowledgement, I guess, for someone who's had a fantastic season. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to play unless maybe you're steamrolling through the groups. And on the other side, I think you have stacked teams, but it comes in from the coach. I think Denmark's a good example of that with Dennis. Like, he is not afraid. I know it'd be pretty crazy too, but if Anders Vergang for some reason wasn't in the mood to play, he doesn't care. He will sub him out. Yeah,
I mean, we saw it last year at the World Cup that Dennis had the guts to sub Anders out, and it actually gave a positive response just in that case, because Denmark actually came back to the match. But it's a big risk. It's always a calculation, and with Anders coming in with that momentum, I mean, there are so many things you need to take into consideration. That's why maybe the coach's part in the competition, especially 2v2, is super underrated.
It's relatively straightforward to me. Let's use football terminology. Some of these squads have subs and other squads have reserves. And the reserves, they're not going to play. They already know their role. They're there to cheer them on and be a good vibe, a good energy, but they're not going to actually have a chance of coming on and being substituted onto the virtual pitch.
Good point there from Mike Lebel. As we jump back into France taking on USA here. Well, the goal has gone in for the French national side.
Don't send it over here. I got Richard looking at me with a smirk. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
Brandon, we expected France then to try and come back after their draw against Finland, just losing in the final stages there.
Absolutely. Especially against a USA team that might be feeling a little bit low after their 4-1 defeat. Sorry, Michael Bell, but there is still a lot of group games to be played here in this group B. And as I said, the only 2 real front runners, if we're looking on paper.
It was 5-1, but who's counting?
Okay, 5-1, sorry. France or Italy.
I just like accuracy. You know, we're going to be valid.
Be the top 2. Speaking of goals, Netherlands. They had a bit of a roster change, but it's worked out well. They lead against the hosts. 1-0.
Well, now this is interesting. If they can keep this lead, do they stick with this duo then, going into match number 3 against the local side, who will have a point to prove this week to give their fans something to cheer about.
And we should bring this up as well. Levy has more 2v2 success than both Yilmaz and Bashori, at least in my opinion, if you're looking through what he's done with Ninjas in Pajamas and Team Holland, that collaboration with All Elite.
I agree, but I also feel like Manu Bashor and Emre played 2v2 FIFA all season. So I feel like there's 2 debates to be had there, I think, from that, but I agree, absolutely, more success in the 2v2 from Levy.
Big goal then in the match. Canada taking on Argentina. We were saying, was it the curse of Spen going to chat to the teams? Hasn't been the case in this matchup.
Yeah, Argentina did take a 2-0 lead. Canada got a goal back. We're jumping back to France against the USA. Mike, look away. 2-0. France lead in the second half. It looks like it's going to be 0 points from the first 2 games.
This is a painful opening day this far for me.
Lamps and Fiddle, what do they do now? It's so early, but what are they thinking now, Mike?
I do question a little bit. I know Fiddle hasn't played as much FIFA as Lamps and doesn't have the same success story as you see Morocco getting on the board there. And I just hope that they can regather and kind of realign, because there's so much time left. And I don't want to just say that as a USA bias, but it's the truth. This is going to be 8 games remaining. Tons of points on the board.
Will CJ act as a sub or a reserve?
I think he's going to be a reserve, but we'll see.
We might see something
You never know
different
what
happen.
could shift, will shift, could adjust. There's a lot of debate. People have different plans coming into these matchups.
Well, the Netherlands have got it right, haven't they? 65 minutes on the clock. They lead 2 goals to 0. Levi David and Emre Yilmaz finally cooking in the final third for the Dutch nation. Another chance over in this game. It is Qatar that come very close to making it 1-1. But back to your point, Mike, I agree. I think Lamps and Fiddle have been the two that have played the big knockout games in the qualification route. Kingsley J has earned this spot in the team after what, just grinding away, getting great results in his own individual career. You saw that as well in the E-Club, getting as far as he did.
I was also going to say, CJ plays a rather defensive style, and that could be a little bit of a conflict from a substitute standpoint. I will say this, and I really hope this is not the debate that we're having at the end of the day, but if USA struggles tremendously, and you might want to just change things up completely for day 2.
Well, if you've got options to do that, I think that would be a pretty smart idea. But we were talking about the US a short while ago. France then still leading at the moment, 2 goals to 0. This French team, I wouldn't even say they're underdogs. A couple of us have had them down. Actually, me, I had them down, there we go, as topping Group B. A draw and a possible 3 points coming up would be a good start for them.
I'm also thinking about how much does it play a part that you participated last week at the E-Club World Cup. I mean, you had some experience regardless if it was great or if it was bad, but you've been here, you've been sitting in this arena, you've been feeling the atmosphere. How does that affect you? Interested to hear your thoughts on that, Mike.
It varies, because I feel that it's difficult to adjust partners, especially completely. You haven't been training together. When you look at the E-Club, some of these teams for eNations share the same partnership, but some of them do not. Therefore, getting used to somebody else's play style, their leadership qualities, all of that can be very, very different.
Aggie, obviously you'd like, if you were still playing, to play in all 3, but do you think you'd be someone who'd excel in just doing one of the 3?
I think it's always going to be hard to master all 3 because you have to change focus really fast, and you have to change mentality as well, because you go from maybe one teammate to another teammate. Like that, there's so many different settings you have to adjust into in a record time. So I think it will be really hard for anyone.
Well, that is another goal then from the Netherlands. 3-0 now over Saudi in that matchup. That's a good statement for this new look side.
What a finish. You might want to hold on to that one. I know we do a top 5 goals of the day at the end. Long distance, long range. Probably didn't expect that to be possible, as you see Canada trying to put some pressure here on Argentina. And to August's point again, even with Denmark, is there's a big shift from playing with Umit and then now switching to playing with Ustin or playing with Marcuso. They're just not the same players. Not to say one is better or this is even more suited or whatnot. It's just that it's a matter of how much time you're allocating per day to these different 2v2 partnerships.
I do know that Marcuso and Houston, they fly in on Friday, so they've been here for a while, probably just watching Anders behind the scenes. But have they had much time to play with him, Aggie?
I think one of Marcuso's biggest strengths is that and that's why he was picked at the national team for all the years, is that he's very, very good at adapting all the time to other players, which makes him very complete. And he also stated that this might be his last competition ever, so he has all the motivation here to come and fulfill his dreams about lifting another world championship.
He's got the right partner, hasn't he? So let's see how he gets on. And it would be such a shame to lose another, standout performer over the years in FIFA esports, Mike. Maybe he can join us on the sofa in the future.
It's just the reality. The ecosystem properly started, I look at 2017. We had a competitive calendar. That's when FIFA esports really began, instead of just having big tournaments. And I date back from the FIFA Interactive World Cups, going to the FIFA E World Cup. But once you've built in that we're going to have these 15 events or these 20 events or these 10 events, we now had a lot more measurables, metrics. We had more competitions. you name it. And I say all that because we've seen the beginning and the end of some competitors in terms of where they started and they've announced their retirement. We talked about Footwiz Marco. We've been there for the entirety of his career, 7 years strong. I'd say about 5 or 6 of those being at the highest level, competing at the highest level, and he's wrapping it up. He's handing, I was gonna say he's putting his shoes, hanging up the cleats, but I guess he's putting the controller away. Putting it to the side.
Well, as these guys also put their controller to the side for a brief couple of moments.
What a dominant performance by Netherlands. Talk about a bounce back. 3-0 against Saudi, you're in Saudi. They didn't look very good in their opening game. You switch partnerships, it worked.
And you gotta applaud the coach there by just making that quick substitute and changing things up. I mean, that's a massive result.
Big bounce back then from the guys in orange. Nice first 3 points on the board for them.
Oh.
Morocco then still leading. A couple of moments left in this one. Can Finland do what they did against France a moment
They
ago,
should
Brandon?
have. They should have. How did that not drop? Green time finish, full power, middle of the pitch, semicircle, talk to me nice. Smashes it off the post. No reward.
Might have one more chance, Finland. Remember, they got 2-2 equaliser against France. In the box he goes towards the back post. Wide again from Finland. Keep in mind that this and Canada against... As I say that, we just get a full-time Argentina picking up their first win in Group A against Canada there. And we have 2 minutes of added time from Finland, Morocco. Are Morocco about to pick up their first 3 points also?
There you have it, Morocco.